Welcome back to Zero to Hero, the series where we teach you how to teach yourself how to play Pokémon VGC. We're back with the How to Actually Play series, and today we're going over the Balance archetype. The Balance archetype got its name due to its team composition and game plan not heavily leaning towards one specific game plan. It doesn't focus on dealing relentless damage, or having the strongest speed control in the world, or relying on things like Trick Room or damage enhancers. Rather, its strongest suit is being able to adapt and deny the opponents their game plan with its strong flexibility. Some of the questions we discuss about Balance isn't what to do when its game plan falls apart, but how to disrupt and counter opposing game plans. As we do in this series, we'll look at a couple examples of well-built Balance teams, review specific tactics we can play to use the team properly, then consider the archetype's bad matchups. Just before we get into it, make sure to subscribe and like the video. It seems small, but it really does go a long way. And if you're capable, we do have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel directly. Feel free to check out my archetype video to see more info about building this archetype, whereas here we focus more on how to play the archetype. So what is the goal of Balance teams? Its true goal is being to adapt to as many opponents as possible and using the tools it has to create space to be able to reposition, set up, or deal damage, whatever is needed based on the circumstance. Balance teams often have many supportive tools packed into the team, from redirection, to disruption, to speed control, to damage enhancement and damage reduction. Balance tries to find the perfect balance between offensive and defensive play. As regulations develop, teams often tend to move towards the Balance style, as it's very consistent and has few strictly bad matchups. So near the end of formats, they become incredibly popular, and if not, the most dominant archetype. Our two examples of teams come to us from Regulation I and Regulation F. This is a CSR Zama Balance team from Reg I that includes 2 fake-out users in Incineroar and Rillaboom, while having plenty of damage with Urshifu and redirection from Ogerpon. Note all the supportive tools this team has. It has 2 fake-outs, 2 repositioning moves in U-turn and parting shot, Wide Guard on Zamazenta for team protection, Follow Me on Ogerpon for redirection, Helping Hand on Incineroar for damage enhancement, Nasty Plot on Shadow Rider for setup potential, Intimidate for damage reduction, and a Knockoff for utility to remove items. It may not seem like a ton of utility, but it does cover pretty much anything you could come across. This team doesn't have hard speed control, but it does have tools to deal with opposing speed control and stall it out, especially with having 2 fake-out users on the team. A Choice Scarf gives the team more immediate speed, and having Calyrex, Shadow Rider, being the fastest Pokemon in the format, it still makes this team quite fast without needing hard speed control. With 2 fake-out Pokemon, it is able to keep the opponent locked down for a majority of the match, and use the space provided by fake-out to reposition, set up, or hammer in damage. It has incredible type synergy between Shadow Rider and Zamazenta, as well as a Fire-Water Grass core with the other 4 that allows this team to make a variety of defensive switches. Let's take a look at our Regulation F team. It has more supportive tools overall, which is generally more possible in non-restricted formats, as your restricted Pokemon often want to make more use of their strong overall stats and deal big damage. Roaring Moon, Ogerpon Wellspring, Goldengo, Raging Bolt, Single Strike Urshifu, and Hisuian Arcanine make up this team. As mentioned, this team has many supportive tools to deal with any opposing situation. There's speed control with Tailwind and Electro Web, priority damage in Sucker Punch, Thunderclap, and Extreme Speed to avoid needing speed control entirely, Breaking Swipe, Snarl, and Intimidate for damage reduction, Follow Me for redirection, and Nasty Plot for setup. This team doesn't rely on Fake Out for positioning like the prior, but it can use its damage reduction to provide safer switch-ins, and force switches from the opponent once their Pokemon have stat drops. It can use this space to deal damage with its immediate offense in Urshifu and Arcanine, set up with Goldengo, or gain speed control with Tailwind or Electro Web. Ultimately, Balance teams work to prevent the opponent's game plan and create space by locking them down or forcing plays from them like switching or protecting. Then it uses that space that was generated to create an advantageous board state, or when they already have an advantageous board state, use that space to lay in with damage. So what specific tactics do Balance teams like to use? Since Balance doesn't have many strictly bad matchups, we will discuss 5 general tactics rather than specific matchup ones. You may wonder if Balance can deal with any archetype, why doesn't everyone play it? Well, it is more difficult to play as you need to be able to make the correct calls as to what to bring to each match and keep more of these specific tactics in mind at all times when you play. as if you don't pilot these teams very well, you can lose momentum quite easily. As mentioned, when players get more used to a format, the format does tend to trend towards more balanced teams seeing play, so they do actually get played more than other archetypes for the most part. Our first tactic is the fake out fake out. The fake out is an incredible tool used to generate momentum. As the name suggests, you need 2 fake out users to be able to pull this off. What's involved is having a setup Pokemon that's already threatening damage on the field next to a fake out user with the other fake out user in the back, and both opponents need to be susceptible to fake out and have the option to protect. When a fake out user and the other slot is threatening a setup, when playing against a fake out user and a damage threat, the safest play is usually to protect with both Pokemon and stall out the one turn fake out has pressure for. If you can pressure your opponent to protect with both foes, this can allow you to set up with your damage threat. And when you expect the 2 protects, rather than actually using fake out and just hitting into the protect, you can hard switch into your other fake out user. This keeps the fake out pressure online for the following turn, while your threat is now set up and the opponent cannot protect since they just protected last turn, making them vulnerable to this fake out and powerful attack double up. This does not necessarily need to be comboed with a setup Pokemon, but the space this creates while keeping up the fake out pressure can be used to benefit from anything from setting up, gaining speed control, or just getting a double switch for free to get a leg ahead when repositioning. Our next tactic is speed stalling. Whether your team has speed control or not, you need to be able to stall out theirs if you find yourself on the back foot speed-wise. Being able to track Tailwind and Trick Room turns and protecting at the correct time is crucial for properly stalling them out. Trying to use protects on odd turns of these effects will be greatly beneficial rather than even ones, since you can't protect 2 turns in a row safely. Let's look at this example. It's turn 3 of Trick Room, and we protect with both Pokemon. Afterwards, we attack using up our Focus Sash to keep our threat alive, and switch with our other Pokemon. Then we can protect with both of our Pokemon on the last turn of Trick Room, allowing our threat to be on the field when Trick Room ends the following turn. If we double protect on turn 4 of Trick Room, then consume our Focus Sash and switch, then protect again on turn 2, we're left completely vulnerable on the last turn, and we need to risk a double protect or sacrifice something. So when thinking about how to stall out a Tailwind or Trick Room, try to use your protects on odd turns of the effect if possible. Our third tactic is the sneaky switch up. Similar to the fake out, this strategy does have a specific situation needed for it to work. When one of your Pokemon is both threatening an opponent and being threatened by an opponent, but it still has protect. When your opponent has been conditioned to you protecting or switching in this situation, you switch things up and go on the offense, while they target the other slot, set up, or do something else, allowing your threat to get in damage. This only works if you've been in the same situation where your Pokemon is being threatened and threatening prior in the set against the same opponent. And in the prior circumstances when this came up, you made the defensive play every time. Somewhere between 2 and 4 times of this already happening, your opponent will be almost certain that you'll make this same play again. And they'll adjust to it, again, targeting the other slot, or getting momentum in some other way. But you switching up your strategy after they're conditioned that you're going to make that play can give you an advantage. The runaround. Balance often relies a lot on positioning to create advantageous board states as mentioned. Once you've identified the biggest piece on the enemy team that's a threat, you can create a board state that's advantageous for your opponent's key piece. After that board state is developed and you expect them to bring that threat in, adjust quickly to take advantage of it being on the field and remove it. After all, you can't remove the threat if it's not on the field. They might be expecting you to play defensively once you see the threat, but again, your goal is to remove it. So have a plan to either use a terrestrialization or an unexpected double up that can take it out before it can get going. Staying one step ahead by frequently having a pivot Pokemon on the field when you're not looking to deal damage right away can allow you to quickly adjust your board state when needed. Forced switches. On balanced teams with a lot of damage reduction or disruption, you can often stack up the debuffs until one or both of your opponent's Pokemon are left with such little damage or such low defenses that the only option is for them to switch out to reset the stat drops. Usually after around 2 relevant stat drops, most players are inclined to switch the Pokemon out. Around this time, be ready to pivot from stacking debuffs to dealing damage, catching the Pokemon on the switch in. That's why balanced teams, we see Pokemon that can debuff and deal damage, rather than just pure supportive Pokemon. Raging Bolt, for example, as we saw on these teams, can have Snarl to reduce the opponent's special attack, then lay in with a strong Thunderbolt after they switch out from having their special attack drop so much. Having a partner next to these debuffers also really benefits, as they can constantly lay damage in while the opponent switches, or just survive attacks that they otherwise wouldn't after the opponent's offenses have been reduced. Thanks for tuning in to how to actually play Balance. Again, I would love feedback in the comments as to if this series actually helps, and what else you might want to see from it, if anything specific. Huge thanks to all the patrons for supporting the channel, and thank you for watching.